Melchizedek was high priest and king of Salem. As it goes in the Jewish account in the book of Genesis, Abraham was blessed by Melchizedek, and Abraham gave Melchizedek a tenth of what he had. He gave Melchizedek a tithe. Well, this was just before, not just before, but it was before the covenant was made with Abraham, and then the sacrifice was made, Abraham was tested. Now let's fast forward into the future. The writer in the New Testament of the book of Hebrews describes Jesus as being a high priest, not in the order of Levi and the earthly priests, but in the order of Melchizedek, a heavenly priest. And it's an interesting analogy. Now the writer in Hebrews in the New Testament goes on to state some further things. They give us some hints about Melchizedek. This is an individual with no father and no mother, no beginning of days and no end of days. Well, now that's very strange. That means that this person exists outside of our space-time dimension. That would put this being, Melchizedek, in the Godhead. It's got to be one of the three persons of God. So who is this Melchizedek that met Abraham in 2000 BC? Well, it's Jesus, and that's bizarre. But let me explain. When Jesus had the Last Supper with his disciples the night he was arrested and the day before that he died, as part of the Passover celebration, he broke bread with them and had wine, bread and wine. And in the process, he told his disciples, "The bread is my body broken for you. The wine is my blood shed for you." So right before the eternal covenant, the second covenant that was made, Jesus had bread and wine with his disciples. Now, Melchizedek met with Abraham before the first covenant was established between God and Abraham. When Melchizedek met Abraham, they had something to eat. They had bread and they had wine. And Abraham gave a tenth of what he had to Melchizedek. If we understand how devoted Abraham was to God, there's no way Abraham is going to pledge a tithe to anybody other than God. So this is really bizarre. It's really weird. A lot of churches don't talk about this, but it's easy to understand with our understanding of space-time dimension, the fact that God is eternal, that the three persons of the Trinity of our God has been around forever. So Jesus showed up for a moment, high priest and king, and by the way, the only person other than Jesus who's described as a high priest and king in the Bible is Melchizedek. So Jesus, Melchizedek, had bread and wine with Abraham before the establishment of the first covenant between God and man on earth, and right before the second covenant was established, Jesus' crucifixion on the cross and the shedding of his blood, Jesus had bread and wine with his disciples. The Bible's crazy. It's awesome. When you go back to Jewish tradition, Jewish holy writings, they clearly depict what's going to happen in establishing the first and the eternal covenant between God and mankind.